Militia's Birthright is one of my favorite grenade launchers in the game. This is actually an old weapon. I think most of us remember running Lake of Shadows over and over again, getting this kinetic grenade launcher, but it is returned to us with random rolls and as an adept grenade launcher. And honestly, even though we have a number of other kinetics that are pretty good, Militia's Birthright is right up there at the top of the list. Now, the Grandmaster Nightfall that it's dropping from is the Disgrace. This is not as difficult of a Nightfall as you may think. You can actually secure runs here, 11 minutes or less, and maybe even sub 10 minutes if you really optimize. Most of our runs were around 11 minutes though, and for the reprised Adept Militia's Birthright, this is a fantastic farm. Now, before we really get into things, this is the GL. These are the things it can roll with, things like auto-loading holster, slideways, quick draw, spike, proximity, blinding grenades, one for all as well, which is, by the way, really easy to proc on a GL. Guys, we're gonna have a review on this thing, and don't kid yourself, guys, GLs are not just good inside of PvE. They're fantastic inside of PvP, and I know my Crucible players, you hate GLs. Bungie has used the term skill shot before, but as a meta hoe, I have actually crutched on GLs a lot, so I actually know what to look for. Truth Teller's one of my favorite. Wave frames are also really good. We're gonna have a review on them though. With that being said, let's talk about how to farm this Nightfall. First up, champions include Unstoppable and Barrier. Shields are Arc, Solar, and Void, so essentially taste the rainbow, but the main focus is gonna be Arc and Solar, especially at the end there where you have Omnigo 2.0 essentially throwing up that Solar Shield over and over. Acute Arc Burn is the burn, which is why we're actually rocking our Lord of Thunder build. Essentially 25% more arc damage is dealt, but of course you receive 50% more arc damage received, so you definitely want to be rocking 100 resilience. Fire Pit is also a modifier where acolytes spawn these fire pools that cause damage over time. Radar is disabled, and match game is also enabled. Now, let me go through my loadout real quick on what I'm rocking, and guys, this is pretty much the same for all Nightfalls outside of Glassway. It only changes depending on the champions. In this Nightfall, you're only going to be dealing with Barrier and Unstoppables, so I'm actually rocking Arbalest, an Unstoppable Pulse Rifle, which is this Insidious, and the Hothead. This roll actually comes with explosive light, tracking, impact casing. This is a fantastic rocket launcher, especially when you're pairing it with someone on your fire team rocking Gallahorn, which is what Fizz was rocking, while Fallout and I were both rocking Hotheads. Now, the beautiful thing about Arbalest is that it bypasses even other elemental shields, being a kinetic, so even if I had to deal with that solar shield with the boss, that's no problem. You can do that with Arbalest. As far as my build goes, Heart of Inmost Light is probably going to get a nerf. If you have not played with the Lord of Thunder build, which is this build right here, guys, play with it before it gets nerfed. And I know I'm saying the nerf word. Nobody wants to hear that word. All I'm saying though, it's potent. This requires no artifact mods. We're essentially taking advantage of Elemental Ordnance, Seeking Wells, Bountiful Wells, and I'm also rocking Lightning Strikes twice, but that's not necessary either. The rest of this is just purely Arc 3.0. My Thruster ability, my Thunderclap melee, Storm Grenades in combination with Touch of Thunder, Knockout, which grants me my health back, and a combination of fragments like Spark of Magnitude, Amplitude, Resistance, and Shock. All of this is extremely disgusting when combined together, both for survivability and potency. So again, if you have not played an Arc Titan this season, please do so, because the power fantasy is amazing. That was essentially what Fallout and I were both rocking. Fizz was actually rocking Invis Hunter with Omnioculus, although he can swap out whatever there. We really didn't need Invis all that much. He probably could have rocked things like Aeon Gauntlets and provided more heavy, but there is a ginormous portion of this Nightfall where you don't even fire weapons. You literally just spam your abilities. Now, for the Nightfall itself, this is such a classic, right? I think many of us from D1 remember this Nightfall. It opens up in this area where you have to actually sparrow through, and you can actually push all the way through and keep sparrowing up these stairs, but I would actually stop before you get to the top of the stairs. And the reason for that, you go up too far, some enemies actually shoot these sparrows, you go kabloomy and you die. So keep that in mind. When you actually come up the stairs though, you'll be met with 2 barrier champions, as well as a number of vandals that are going to be shielded by those champions. So definitely want to prioritize those champions. Again, throw some storm grenades, pop some shots off. Once the barriers actually have to cast their barriers and you stun them, immunity for those enemies around them go away. So prioritize the champions first. You also have a number of ads on the left side there, some captains, some fallen, and on the right side, you have a number of other fallen and vandals, marauders, etc. that are going to be pouring out. Honestly, send 1 Arc Titan to each corner and just throw grenades. And as you see right here, guys, you literally throw a single grenade into the mess of enemies that are pouring out, and it just continually keeps killing everything. So a single storm grenade can literally lock down either side. Now, upon killing all these ads and champions in this room, the next area will open up, and you'll be met with another barrier champion in the stairwell. Now, we actually ended up skipping this champion one time and still got platinum, or we didn't really skip it. It despawned because I pushed up too far. Granted, we got lucky. I actually think you still need to kill it, but upon killing that champion in those ads, you'll push up into this next room, and you'll have 2 barrier champions in here. One is inside, and another one is outside. And throughout this entire process, Heart of Inmost Light, guys, you just want to be constantly proccing your thruster Throw in a melee if you can, but don't overexpose yourself, and just chunk storm grenades. It will do the job for you. It literally is tracking enemies, continually killing, and you're constantly feeding back into your abilities when you're casting your other abilities. Now, upon killing these champions, as well as these wizards in front, who by the way have solar shields, you'll start to see these hive drop ships come in, and this area can be kind of annoying because you have 2 barrier champions, 1 on either side, and 2 shriekers. Now, you can deal with these barrier champions together if you do enough damage to them at once. The problem is that sometimes you do just enough damage to annoy them that they actually back off or get pushed off the platform. They drop down, they'll throw their barriers up, you can't even hit them anymore, they get their health all the way back up, and eventually they climb back up to the top and continually keep shooting at you. The best thing to do here, guys, is just burn a rocket. Actually, a couple rockets. Do a 3, 2, 1 countdown and take out the right and then the left, or the left and then the right. And by the time all rockets are making contact, it will take out that champion in one go. And this will make life a lot easier. Granted, if you have to push up and still kill them behind these containers or those platforms, that's completely fine. The problem is the shriekers will open up, and when they open up, they can shred you pretty fast. Even though this is arc burn, those shriekers do a significant amount of damage. Now, upon dealing with those shriekers and the wave of ads that are spawning in, a dropship will come in with yet another group of champions and ads. These will be more barriers. Simultaneously, a number of acolytes will spawn in pretty much right there in that middle area. Be careful when you actually go up to engage those champions, because oftentimes your attention will be taken by those champs and you'll completely forget about the acolytes that are spawning in behind you, which will mess you up very, very fast. Now, after you kill all these guys, you'll continue to push through. You'll have 2 barrier champions in this area. Deal with both of these guys. And again, this is where Aeon Gauntlets is pretty useful if you have someone rocking Aeons, as they can be providing heavy ammo for everyone, just to top everybody's ammo off. If you do have an issue though with ammo, always be looking when you get out into this area, which is the Cosmodrome. A public event is sometimes going on here, and if you see a rally flag, just go ahead and top off your ammo. This will top off your ammo and your super, and you can continue the Nightfall. As you push on through, you'll see some Thrall, some Cursed Thrall. Be careful if you're actually going to be bringing your Sparrow through here. And upon getting to the end, you'll interact with this console, and it will open up the door. Now, this is when you actually see the boss for the first time, which is Nevada, aka Omnigal 2.0. She's pretty annoying. She's got a lot of health right here, and even though you could be way past her health gate, she just likes to hang around for a certain duration. Throughout this process, a number of barrier champions are spawning, as well as a bunch of ads. Again, storm grenades are so clutch here, guys. Throw it in the mix. It'll deal with them very fast. Once she actually backs off and disappears though, you'll notice some wizards that are hanging behind these columns with solar shields. Deal with them, as they will sneak you while you're trying to deal with this unstoppable champion. And when you actually look left immediately around this corner, you'll see that unstoppable champion here. Deal with that guy and then proceed to look up. At the very, very top will be a barrier champion on that platform. This guy is by far the most annoying. And again, like we handled those barrier champions in the previous room, honestly, just go ahead and burn a rocket each just to deal with that guy, because he'll just continually keep booming you over and over. And if he gets his health back, you're just going to be burning even more ammo than what you would have if you just burnt a single rocket to begin with. Throughout this though, you'll have some barrier champions down low, as well as a number of ads. And then actually entering into the boss room itself, before you actually get into the boss room, you'll have 2 barrier champions in this little small room. Pop those barriers, deal with these guys, throw a storm grenade in there. You'll be amazed how quickly you'll deal with them. Now, moving into the boss area. The boss actually spawns at the bottom, but will continue to rotate throughout DPS phases. Upon getting her to 2/3 health though, she'll despawn, and a number of ads will actually spawn up top. This will include knights, acolytes, a knight that's in that cubby, so be very careful. After you kill all of those ads, she will spawn back in on that original platform that we remember Omnigal being on, and she'll also have a solar shield. Pop that solar shield with Galley, or whatever other means you may have, and just do damage to her. There's no rush here, guys. Like, honestly, if you have Heart of Inmost Light and storm grenades, they do so much damage all on their own. You can actually save a lot of ammo and continue to just deal with her with your abilities. Now, once you get her to about half health, she'll despawn again, and this time, a number of hive come out, including an unstoppable ogre. Definitely want to deal with that guy quickly. Acolytes will be all around you, but down below will be another unstoppable champion, as well as a regular ogre. Upon dealing with those guys, the boss will spawn right back in at the very top. Continue to do damage to her until you get her to the final third of her health. She'll despawn again, this time going to the bottom, and you'll have a number of cursed thrall that are just like constantly spawning, it feels like, all around you. Now, when she goes to the bottom here, this is where having your supers, and I like to save my super for this, is so beneficial, because she likes to get tucked into this corner, and she's so difficult to deal with, guys. Rockets are okay, like you can deal with her with rockets, but literally landing anything else is really, really tough, especially with her moving her head around a bunch. I'd throw like a storm grenade up into the mix and let it kill all the ads, including her. I'll then expend all of my heavy ammo, all my rocket launcher ammo, and then follow up my super and hopefully get the kill to finish her off. And if you do this right, if you save all of your supers, that final third of her health, you'll be able to shred past very, very quickly. And understand, understand, this is a pretty decently long damage phase, enough to produce you lots of orbs elsewhere, and I'm rocking things like Ashes to Assets. I'm doubling up on that. So if you pop your super at the very beginning of the damage phase, you will have your super back for that final health gate to finish her off. So guys, that is the Disgraced Nightfall for this week. Militia's Birthright is dropping. No double loot, but it's still a very easy Nightfall to farm. Definitely doable for sub 12 minutes. You can definitely get it down to that 11-minute mark, and we're going to be optimizing more this week to get it even less than that. Let me know in the comments below if you have any suggestions for this. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.